Bodhi Linux saw a major release yesterday, Bodhi Linux 5.0.0. This is their fifth major release, this one based on Ubuntu 18.04. Let's take a look. So, Bodhi Linux. What is Bodhi Linux? Let's take a quick look at the distro watch page for Bodhi. Bodhi is Ubuntu-based. Bodhi is an elegant and lightweight Ubuntu-based distribution featuring Moksha, an Enlightenment 17-based desktop environment. So they forked the old Enlightenment 17 desktop and created their own desktop environment that they call Moksha. The project takes a decidedly minimalist approach by offering modularity, high levels of customization, and choice of themes. In addition to basic 32 and 64-bit systems, Bodhi maintains designated ISO images for Chromebooks and legacy machines. By default, Bodhi has only 5 pre-installed applications. Midori for their web browser, Terminology, their terminal, PCman FM, their file manager, ePhoto, photo manager, and ePad, text editor. Additional software, of course, is available via the App Center, a web-based software installation tool. So Bodhi is a very light, very minimal Linux distribution. That is its goal, that is its aim. They still offer a 32-bit image, which is interesting because, of course, we know Ubuntu proper no longer offers 32-bit images. So I'm going to go ahead and pull down an ISO of Bodhi. I'm going to install it inside a VM today. Looking at their release announcement over at the bodhilinux.com website, they offer 3 standard releases. They offer a standard release, a legacy release, and an app pack release. The standard release is the standard 64-bit ISO that has basically 5 programs on it, the 5 I just mentioned a second ago. The legacy release is a 32-bit image. Obviously, I don't need a 32-bit image. 32-bit machines are kind of rare these days. If you have a machine that's a decade old or more, you might need the legacy image, though. And then they have what they call their app pack release. Now, this is not as minimal as the standard release. It has a full suite of applications on the ISO. It's about 1.5 gigs in size. That is going to be the one I download, the app pack release, because I want to see what kind of programs ship on it instead of just having a real bare bones Bodhi install. If I was actually installing this on physical hardware and living in it myself, I probably would do the standard release, and then I would pick and choose exactly what programs I want to put on my machine. So let me grab that image, and I'm going to install this inside VirtualBox. Alright, and I booted off the live image here inside VirtualBox. I created a VM, I gave it 4 gigs of RAM, 2 cores of my 6-core CPU, and I created a 15 gig virtual hard drive in this VM. Now, when you first launch into the live environment here in Bodhi Linux, the web browser opens up and it launches basically one of the local files here, a local HTML file on your system already. This is your help guide. And it has information for connecting to the internet, installing software, Moksha Basics. This is basics about the Moksha desktop environment, which I might need to read because I'm not that familiar with this particular desktop environment. Quick Launcher, quick FAQ, resources, and colophon. Alright, so I don't really need any of this. What I really need to do is run through the installation. So let me see, can I close the browser here? Alright, and let's see if I can find the installation program. That's Midori, that's the Bodhi App Center, PCman FM, System Updater. Let me see if I can find the installer somewhere in the applications. So, see, Preferences, Graphics, Sound and Video System Tools. I would expect it to be somewhere in System. No, how about Operating System? No, Settings. I'm not exactly sure where the installer is here. This may take me a minute to find. Let's see, System Tools. Where is the dang installer, Bodhi Linux? Let me go through this menu again. I must have missed it. Oh, it's under Preferences. I wonder why it's under Preferences. That's kind of a strange place to put your installer. But there it is. Install Bodhi Linux 5.0.0. So let me launch that. Beautiful wallpaper. This is the same wallpaper that we saw in the beta. I reviewed the beta for this particular release a while back. I will say it took Bodhi a little while to finally get to this 5.0 release that is based on 1804, Ubuntu 1804. Because Ubuntu 1804, of course, has been out since April now, and it's, late August. So, took them a little bit of time to get to this point here. Alright, this looks like the standard Ubiquity installer, the standard Ubuntu Ubiquity installer. So, English has been chosen for our language, that's correct. I'm going to click continue. Alright, download updates while installing Bodhi. There really shouldn't be any. This was released yesterday, so I'll tick that off. Install third-party software for graphics, Wi-Fi, and other multimedia codecs. Yeah, you would normally want to tick that on. You really need to tick that on to have a proper desktop experience. I'm not going to bother doing that one either, though, for the purposes of this review. So I'll just decline all of that. The computer currently has no detected operating system. What would you like to do? I want to erase the entire disk and install Bodhi and let Bodhi have the entire 15 gig hard drive of this virtual machine. For those of you that need to do something else, there is this option, something else. For me, I'm just going to let it have the whole disk. I'm going to click install now. Alright, basically warning us that it's going to format the drive right to the disk. I'm going to click continue. And we wait a second. It's asking about time zone, but it has correctly chosen the central time zone in the US for me. I'm going to click continue. We need to create our username. I'm going to call myself DT. We need to create a strong and complicated password for my user DT. Alright, do we want to log in automatically? I don't like to do that for privacy reasons. Or do we want to require my password to log in? Yes. So I'm going to click continue. And now the installation begins. This should take just a few minutes. I'm going to pause the video while the installation completes. And the install has completed. I stepped away for not even 5 minutes to go get me a cup of coffee, and the install is already completed. So again, very minimal distro, very quick install. Really love the Bodhi installation process. To complete installation, of course, you do need to reboot the machine. That's what I'm going to do right now. And I have rebooted my freshly installed Bodhi Linux 5.0.0. Let's see how long boot up time takes. I like the splash screen. That's pretty neat. Alright, boot up time very fast. Let me type in my secure and complicated password and launch us into the Moksha desktop. Please wait while we are loading the Moksha settings. Okay. It's interesting. And then of course we get our Bodhi quick start again. I don't need to do the Bodhi quick start though. I'm going to just close that out. And let's take a look at what is installed by default on Bodhi Linux 5.0.0, the App Pack release. So again, this is going to have a few more programs installed. Actually, quite a few more programs installed than the standard Bodhi Linux, which only comes with 5 main programs installed. So we have our menu. I can actually just click this logo, this icon down here on the panel, or I can just left click anywhere on the desktop. I get the same menu system. So under applications, accessories, we have ePad. ePad is the plain text editor here. I'm assuming this is ePad is a simple text editor written in Elementary and Python. Okay. So this is their plain text editor. Minimal, lightweight text editor. That's why they chose it. Again, Bodhi is going to be more minimalist than most Linux distros you're used to. Also under applications, we have preferences. We have AR&R. AR&R is what you would use to adjust your screen resolution, or for those of you using multi-monitors, like for me, I use 3 monitors on my main machine. If I was actually installing this and using all 3 monitors, then I could, arrange how the monitors are laid out. Because sometimes, like in 3 monitors, they'll be out of order. Monitor 1 will actually be acting as monitor 2 and whatnot, and I would have to use a program like AR&R to arrange them in the correct order. Also under applications and preferences, we have our network connections. I'm using an Ethernet connection, so the internet just works fine for me. For those of you that were having problems with connecting to the internet, again, the quick start guide that pops up when you first launch into Bodhi does have documentation on how to get Wi-Fi working. Graphics, the graphics category, we have ePhoto. Let's see. ePhoto is a comprehensive image viewer based on the EFL. Okay, so not much to it. Again, lightweight, minimal photo viewer. Also under Applications, Internet, we have Midori. Midori is our web browser. By default, the home page is the Quick Start Guide, for your help information for Bodhi Linux. Also under Applications, we have a Sound and Video category. Pulse Audio Volume Control is here. One of my favorite programs, Pulse Audio. Right. Okay, under Applications, we have System Tools, and we have the Bodhi App Center. This is our software center. And it looks like it is just a web-based app center, which is cool. Most software centers in Linux are web-based anyway, even if they don't use the web browser. I think Bodhi does the smart thing. Just open up a web browser and take me to the web page. And here on the web page, we have categories we could choose. For example, burning software. And in here, we have the options of XFburn and Brasero. If I click Brasero, gives me some information about it. Let me make this full screen so you guys can see it. We have an install button. If I click this, I'm assuming it would install. Let me click it. I'm not going to give it my root password, but there you go. We had a little sudo prompt, to type our root password. Anytime you install or remove software, you do have to have root privileges. So, pretty cool. Also, under System Tools, we have our file manager. They're using PCMan-FM. Makes sense. PCMan-FM is a very nice, light, fast file manager. It's the default file manager for a lot of lightweight desktop environments like LXDE, LXQt, often use PCMan-FM. Anytime I do my OpenBox installs, I always use PCMan-FM. This is PCMan-FM 1.3.0, a lightweight file manager using libfm version 1.2.5. Close that out. Also under Applications, System Tools, we have the GDebi package installer. This is a graphical program. You use this to install deb packages, .deb packages. You can install deb packages, of course, using the command line, but GDebi is a graphical way to install those packages. Also under Application System Tools, we have our system settings. I'm assuming this would be like your settings manager. Yeah, they call it the Swami control panel, where we can adjust keyboard layout, date and time, light DM settings, startup applications. Is that all that's here? Yeah, so just 4 things actually in the control panel. Not much to it. Also under System Tools, we have the System Updater. We have to have sudo privileges to run it. Let's go ahead and check it out. I'm kind of curious what program they're using here. That's the incorrect password. Did I really type the wrong password? I guess I did. It's not the longest password in the world. It's 2 letters. I mistyped it. Anyway, System Updater, there are a few updates to be taken. I guess this is their own custom tool, too. They call it EEP Dater. EEP Dater. EEP Dater. Pretty cool. Anyway, I'm not going to bother running the updates here on camera. Also, under System Tools, we have Terminology. Terminology is their terminal emulator. Really cool terminal emulator. I really like this background, too. It's not bad. If we do a quick uname -R. The kernel, of course, is 4.15, standard kernel in Ubuntu 18.04, which Bodhi is basing off of. So there's the kernel. Do we have htop installed? No, we don't. But you know what? Sudo apt update. Let's go ahead and do a quick sudo apt update, and then I'll do a sudo apt install. Man, I can't type today. Htop. Htop is a very small program. Alright, and then run htop. Let's see what kind of system resources we're using. So again, I gave this machine 2 cores of my 6-core CPU. It's using 1 to 2% of the CPU right now. That's with htop running, and we do have a few things down here in the system tray, the notification tray. So that's pretty normal actually. Memory, wow, look at the RAM usage. I mean, this is 219 megs. As is right now, and we could trim that down. Again, we've got some stuff running. 219 megs of RAM is super lightweight. For a distro that's got some polish to it. I mean, it's a full desktop environment. We have a menu system, we have a panel, we have a sys tray. It's hard to get a proper desktop environment using those little system resources. So that is why Bodhi really makes sense, especially on old hardware, especially you guys that do have 32-bit machines, since they do have a 32-bit image. One of the few Linux distros still offering a 32-bit image. Keep Bodhi Linux in mind. Super lightweight, super fast. Even just, playing around with it a little bit, things just open instantly. Things just close instantly. And this is in a VM, Really impressed with the performance of this. Always have been every time I've looked at Bodhi. I've never installed Bodhi on physical hardware and tried to live in it. And you know what? I probably should. One of my laptops behind me, I have a ThinkPad that I have Linux Mint installed on. And because Linux Mint is Ubuntu based, Bodhi is Ubuntu based, I'm sure Bodhi would run just fine on that laptop, that particular laptop. I may wipe Mint off of that laptop and install Bodhi and see how it performs on real hardware. Because this is more of my kind of distro anyway than Linux Mint. I'm not a big fan of the Cinnamon desktop environment. It's kind of heavy. So I might give this a go. There's really not too much to look at here with Bodhi 5.0. Again, there's very few programs installed by default, and this was the big ISO. Their 1.5 gig ISO that had a few extra programs. By default, if you do the standard ISO, all you're getting is their web browser, Midori, the terminal emulator terminology, ePad, the text editor, and one or two other programs. You're getting like 5 programs and nothing else. The rest of it is up to you to install. So pretty nice minimal distro for those of you into that sort of thing. Me, I am into that sort of thing. This is kind of right up my alley, to be honest. Wallpapers, I don't think we're going to have any wallpapers available to us. Just guessing because, again, it's a minimal distro. Let's see if I can find... Is there anything in the picture directory? No. If I go to the root directory, sometimes you will find wallpapers under user share background. User share backgrounds. Yeah, and that is where the default wallpaper lives here on the machine, but there's nothing else. That's the only thing in that directory. One other wallpaper. This one here, but it's kind of plain. It's not bad. Again, for a minimal distro, I like minimal wallpapers, but that's a little too minimal. I think I would rather go back to the old one, to be honest. So let me go back to user share backgrounds again. And Bodhi login. Is that the one that they were using by default? I think so, yes. Apply. Okay. Alright, so that's not too bad. Now, for those of you wanting to do a little more with, theming the system, especially with wallpapers, what I would do personally, I would go to my terminal. You could do this with the Synaptic Package Manager if you installed it, or you could use Bodhi's graphical package manager, but the terminal is pretty easy to use. I've already updated the repos, so I just need to sudo apt install about gnome-backgrounds and mate-backgrounds. And then give it the root password. And it's going to install those 2 packages. And this may take a second. Yeah, pretty fast install. Now let me go back to settings, wallpaper. And let's choose a directory again. Now in that user share backgrounds directory, I have 2 new folders, user share backgrounds GNOME and user share backgrounds Mate. And we could pick either one of these. I'll do the GNOME directory, and this is the standard GNOME wallpaper pack that you often see on GNOME-based distros. So pretty standard stuff. I like this fabric one. Again, I like more minimal wallpapers that are not very busy. That kind of fits with the theme a little bit. That's not bad. So anyway, it gives us some extra options for wallpapers there. We have options for gadgets. Gadgets are really widgets. Desktop gadgets are really desktop widgets. So they have some strange terminology here in the Moksha desktop environment. They tend to not call things what they really are. I'm not going to play around with any widgets, though. I'm not going to configure any layers today. What I might do, though, is go to Modules here. See what these module settings are. We have backlight and clipboard. Well, let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, okay. So it looks like we already have the clipboard and the clock. This is modules, or what's already on our panel down here. We could add backlight. So if I clicked backlight and click load, yeah, now we have right here, or we could adjust backlight. I don't need that. Let me unload that. But pretty easy way to add and remove stuff from your panel, such as the sys tray, the taskbar, your start button, etc., the pager. So that is how you configure the panel. Shelves, let's see, shelves. Configured shelves. Display 0. I'm not going to add any more. If you had multi-displays, I guess this would make sense. And again, they tend to not name things which you would expect them to. A shelf is really the panel. So I don't need a second panel. Some people, I guess, do use 2 panels on one monitor. If I'm just using one monitor, one shelf, or one panel is all I need. I could, of course, use all 3 of my monitors. Even in a VM, I can configure my VMs to use 3 monitors, and then I would need to add, 2 extra panels to the screens. Or shelves, whatever. Again, gadgets are really widgets. Modules, they're really applets for the panel, and the shelves are really panels. So again, the naming conventions for the Moksha desktop environment, a little strange. We do have some options for theming. By default, we're using Moksha Arc Dark. No, that's Moksha Arc Dark there. The default one was Moksha Arc Dark Green. But I actually like the one I just chose, Moksha Arc Dark, rather than Arc Green. Because the Arc Dark has some blue hints to it, and that actually makes sense with the kind of bluish wallpaper I went with. See how some of the panel stuff now has blue highlights to it instead of green? That's actually not bad. Anyway, I could play with the theming here in Bodhi all day. Overall, what are my final thoughts here as far as this very quick first impression of Bodhi 5.0.0? Love it. I am strongly considering installing this on one of my laptops. I need to put this on physical hardware or even on my main production machine. I have an IC dock. I have plenty of drives. I can find one of these drives to wipe out whatever's on it and install Bodhi Linux on real hardware, because I'll be honest, I'm impressed. The install super fast. A 5-minute install. I mean, start to finish, 5 minutes. I mean, that's typing your username, password, time zone, and then the actual install process itself, 5 minutes. You can't get a better install than that. And then, of course, the Moksha desktop environment here. Love it. Super light, super fast. You can't beat it. I do need to give a special thanks to my patrons before I go, and I'm talking about A.K. Allen, Alex, Ansem, Tony, Bart, Benjamin, Ben, Bruno, Brian, Carlos, Christian, Chuck, Dan, the other Dan, Daniel, David, the other David, Eduardo, Greg, Humane, Interceptor, Jake, John, Carl, Katrina, Keith, Lee, or Marcus, the other Marcus, Mark, Martin, Matthias, Michael, Mr. GFY, Mr. Smarty Pants, Mr. Neely Pops, Paul, Rob, Robert, Ron, Silvio, First Stephen, Second Stephen, Third Stephen, Swami, Tiedemann, Voice Live, 2 Bella, John. You guys rock. You guys help make this show possible. Peace, guys.